The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
So I got a transcript, I reviewed it. I actually went out and reviewed a clip of an answer that I gave. And I realized that there is a need for some clarification. It should have been obvious. I thought it would be obvious, but I would like to clarify just in case it wasn't. In a key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't or why it wouldn't be Russia. So just to repeat it, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. And the sentence should have been, and I thought it would be maybe a little bit unclear on the transcript or unclear on the actual video. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be Russia. Sort of a double negative. So you can put that in, and I think that probably clarifies things pretty good by itself.
The President of the United States thinks that we are all as ignorant as he is. Whoever came up with that cockamamie excuse, that's the best way to describe it. Welcome to the show. It's going to sound a little different today because I'm recording in a different location. So it's a big room with a lot of reverb. So I don't know, it might throw you off. But anyway, let's get down to it. The president, again, there's not much to say about this other than how dumb can you be to actually think that you could get away with this? Then the flip side of this is if you see the reaction that Republicans, a set of Republicans, I don't know how big this set is, but if you see the response that they are having to this entire fiasco, you will see the level of dedication to a few things. One, standing behind Trump no matter what he does. He literally could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. Two, their willingness to betray what they've believed, I mean, since time immemorial. Like, can anyone recall a time when Republicans were not the war hawks, the Russia, the McCarthyites, the anti-Russia, the anti-communist, I'm lumping all those into one big category because there has never been a time in my life until now that you've seen Republicans willing to shift their gears on how they perceive the geopolitical order with regard to Russia, all in exchange for owning the libs. I mean, this is literally what you could reduce this down to. They have shown a willingness to betray what they believe. Now, whether or not anything they believed is meritorious is a different question, but they've demonstrated that in the context of their own beliefs, they are willing to betray them, their deeply held beliefs, simply to own the libs, to defend Donald Trump and to own the libs. That's it. And when you think about that, that is a dangerous combination to that is a dangerous set of building blocks for your ideology. It is. And actually, before I describe it anymore with my words, let me play the clip from Fox News, Fox Business News that I'm going to read some comments from just so that you can get an idea of exactly what I'm talking about from their own words.
The mainstream media did not want this meeting to happen. And I had really hoped I could say that they were wrong. I thought that maybe I could, at this moment in time, say they were wrong, because this was an opportunity for our president to get up there on stage and look Vladimir Putin in the eye and say, you're not going to mess with us again. But he didn't. In fact, he basically said he didn't buy what his own intelligence community was telling him. This was clearly not his best performance. He's done a whole lot better than this. He should have defended us. He should have defended his own intelligence community. Or just don't take the meeting. Don't go to Helsinki if you can't look the guy in the eye and tell him what's what. But when everyone is in agreement that they did interfere, and somehow you're up there on the world stage suggesting that, in fact, Vladimir Putin may be telling the truth and your own team isn't. What has happened?
The same thing that has been happening every day since we've entered into this hyper partisan warfare. This is the natural evolution. This isn't strange to me. This is the natural evolution of America's hyper politicized, hyper partisan environment. The truth is, the truth is that this is where we were always leading to, right? And by that I mean everything that has happened leading up to this election, with the election of Donald Trump and Donald Trump's reaction to the collusion claims and this all makes perfect sense to me, because American politics has been reduced, particularly on one side. Don't get me wrong. What I'm going to say applies to both sides of the aisle, but I always talk about the asymmetrical warfare, where the Republicans have created an environment where it is a zero-sum, non-negotiation. By any means, they are going to own the libs. Democrats have at sundry times, and too many times, in my opinion, have tried to still be reasonable with unreasonable people. They've still tried to be diplomats. They've still tried to work with them. And I see that personally. I've seen that as a weakness. I'm not lauding that as if it's something admirable. That was the problem with Barack Obama, right? But in this environment where Republicans have reduced everything down to how they can own the libs, this was the natural outcome, and this was inevitably going to happen. Now, let me read some comments from Facebook in response to this video. And it matters. It matters because these comments have like 10,000 likes each, an obscene amount of, there are a lot of people who believe this. Now, clearly from a representative sample size, I'm not sure that this is a big enough sample to make any scientific conclusions. But in terms of just what's happening in the lay of the land, like if you just look out on social media and see what's happening, you see an unbelievable shift in Republican thinking in terms of how they are willing to betray what they have believed since I've been living. Denise says, what the heck is wrong with Fox Business and Fox News Network? POTUS was the best he could possibly be with Putin. Stop competing with CNN and the rest of the lying media, or soon you'll be deemed the enemy of the people too. The commentator actually gave Donald Trump some unnecessary and incorrect props, if you would. Like she was like, he's been good. He just wasn't at his best. No, so it isn't enough, right, to critique the president in the context of you appreciating your president or defending your president or wanting to defend your president. That's not enough. You have to be totally, completely on his side at all times, or else you too become the enemy of the people. Totalitarianism. Number 2 with like 8,000 likes. Why should Trump lie and defend the intelligence community that has been caught out lying, obfuscating, and protecting Clinton and Obama at the expense of the truth of the American public? Really? The same FBI that released the letter, the document right before the election, the James Comey's FBI that pretty much sandbagged the election like a week before the election, that FBI. Okay, anyway, I'm not reading these. I'm not reading these to you to try to make heads or tail or sense of them. I'm just reading to you so you can get an understanding of what we are actually up against. The FBI interfered with our presidential election. They were biased against Trump. Now Trump should defend them. I can't read anymore. It goes on and on and on and on and on like that. And you can get an idea. It gives you a picture of the derangement that is happening. The mental contortions and gymnastics that, actually, let me pause, because it's actually quite simple. When the only thing that matters to you is beating and owning the libs, then mental contortions aren't even necessary. You reduce everything down to what is the opposite side of what the Democrats and liberals are doing. And when you do that, the world becomes extremely simple. Your worldview is not based on anything substantive. Your worldview is purely opposition. That's it. So I was getting ready to say that the mental gymnastics that are necessary, but having this type of worldview means you have no worldview other than opposing and owning the libs. So in context of that, then we have to understand what we're actually fighting against. We're actually fighting against people that no matter what we do, no matter what Democrats do, no matter what progressives do, there is nothing that we can do that would be satisfactory enough to them for them to either work with us or, to work with us or try to refine something for the betterment of the United States. They have only one guiding principle, this particular group. This what George Will, who normally I would never quote, but he actually wrote something meaningful, what he coined as the Helsinki Republicans. The Helsinki Republicans have absolutely no guiding principle other than two things: defending Donald Trump and owning the libs. And before anyone gets, I know I started a sentence and I didn't finish, but I'll get back to it. But before anyone thinks too highly of any other Republican, they are not too far from that. They are simply dropping and truncating the defend Donald Trump at all cost. But ultimately, they still would do anything in their power to own the libs. Case in point, Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan came out and he didn't call out Donald Trump by name, but he certainly was speaking about Donald Trump. He held the line. And he said that we're going to trust our intelligence agencies. But that doesn't mean anything, because Paul Ryan tomorrow would do anything in his power to the detriment of our country, to the detriment of his own supposed beliefs and ideologies, to own the libs. Same thing with Mitch McConnell. He held the line with Donald Trump on the Russia issue, but he's just 1 hour away, 1 minute away from doing something that violates his own principles, that contradicts all of that he's believed his entire life in order to own the libs. We are dealing with a faction of the American body politic that by any means they want to beat us, by any means necessary, no matter what the cost, no matter what they have to betray. They don't see themselves as betraying their beliefs because their deeply held belief at the end of the day, their core North Star, their driving force, that thing that makes them get up and operate, that thing that they believe at the end of the night when they go to bed, is that they have to beat us. Now, ask yourself if we have the type of leadership on our side that can respond accordingly to that type of political enemy. Go to patreon.com/the BPD show to get the rest of today's episode.